Hey, welcome back to Rob's Garage Woodworking. Today we're going to talk about insulation and vapor barrier strategies on how to keep your house insulated properly. I'm going to show you how they did it and what I think is wrong with it. Now, a lot of this stuff was probably to code when it was built. This house was built in 1984, but it's not to code now, and there's a lot of different things that kind of are a bit of a failure when it comes to how to do it properly and the most effective way to do it. This house is a side split. So here is my main living area, so the first floor. I am on the second floor, so it's bedrooms, living room, dining, kitchen area, and then basement underneath this floor. So what they've done here is they have vapor barrier, real thin vapor barrier, so this is old, and insulation. And so down here they didn't insulate this part of the wall, and this part of the wall out here is your roof, or my roof. Okay, so the roof comes down across here, and this is attic space. Well, not even attic space, it's uninsulated roof space inside, right? Just like an attic opening. Okay, so I'm going to bring you a little closer here. So what you've noticed here is there's no tuck tape on the plastic, so it's not taped. It has no acoustic sealant on it. Acoustic sealant is the black, it's almost like a caulking, but it doesn't harden. So that's what you're supposed to have on this, so that it prevents air from traveling through. This is the outside wall right over here, right beside me. Here is the window. Now this wall, you see in the corner, the plastic doesn't even wrap into the corner, so air can get in there and move around. It will allow cold air to permeate through your house and prevent your house from staying warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So we want to have this sealed up. We don't want to have loose plastic. We want to have it taped off or acoustic sealed, right? And down here at the bottom, if you look at the floor, so you'll see it doesn't even go all the way down to the floor, and it should go all the way down. So they were slacking here for sure. So these windows are new, and when they installed them, they did a nice job. They installed them, they capped them from the outside, they spray foamed all along here, and before I ripped out the drywall, you could see the tuck tape. They tuck taped it to the drywall and did a nice job. Oh, here's some tuck tape here. So they did all that, which is nice. So that was done well, and I'll just leave that and frame around this after. But the rest of the insulation leaves a little bit to be desired, and this vapor barrier is really thin, and the new vapor barrier is 6 mil poly, and I don't know if this is 3 mil or less. It is CMHC approved, number 7808 apparently, so this was code back in the day. This is dirty insulation. So what does that mean? How did the insulation get dirty? Well, so this is fiberglass pink, and it makes a really good air filter. So what happens is air comes up through here, either down by the sill plate, which isn't sealed, or in from where the electrical outlets are, and that's not sealed. And air can come up through the basement and come up through here and go right up through the roof, and that's what it's doing. And you can see it travels along the outside here between the vapor barrier and the insulation, and is going somehow out through the roof cavity, through the top plate. It's finding its way. It's air, right? You can't stop air really well. It's hard to do. So I'm going to show you my strategies on how I do this. Alright, so part of my insulation strategy is sealing up all the giant holes and crevices. So along the base here, you can see how dark this wood is. That's because that has been wet, and not just a little wet, but a lot wet. So vapor runs up underneath here through the cracks, right? Comes up through the cracks up behind your insulation and works its way through your wall system, okay? And that, allowing that wet, moist air from outside into your house, will saturate your oriented strand board sheathing on the outside. So what I do is I put caulking on all this and I seal each stud bay fully. So I'll seal all these gaps. I'll seal along the floor, I'll seal along the OSB to the 2x4 framing, and I'll seal even where two 2x4s are together. I'll seal that crack in the middle. I want to make sure that no air is coming into the house from outside. Okay, so now we have these electrical box covers, and these are kind of neat, and these are like for your vapor barrier for the electrical box. And you can see one of the boxes here. So after you have the box in, you have to nail it into the wall. So you're probably going to put nails through this as well. What you can do is you can take tuck tape, which is your vapor barrier tape, and you can tape over those holes in the box. Still, you got to run the wires through. So there's still going to be holes in this, but it's significantly better. And it's better than just a sheet of plastic. So this is what everybody's using now, I guess. So yeah, after you put the vapor barrier on, that'll be taped around, and then the drywall will go over top. Alright, so you can see here the holes for the wire, and then where it's mounted, there's some tuck tape over the holes where I mounted that. Alright, so the vapor barrier's up. We have our acoustic sealant in here. The vapor barrier's up. As you can see, like by these black lines, it's easy to get the vapor barrier stuck in the acoustic sealant and transfer some on there. Anyway, but there's lots on there, so that'll stick and create the air cell. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to run a bead of caulking on the bottom plate to the OSB flooring, and we're going to seal that up. So let's do that now. So now I'm covering the wall with 3/4 inch styrofoam insulation, and this is DuroFoam, and this will be my thermal break. Now I'm going to do this on the inside wall. Now I've gone through and I've done the deep dive into the building code to see if I could do this. So in my climate area, in order for me to use foam on the outside of my house, it has to be 2 inches thick. So I would have to pull all my siding, put 2 inches thick foam on top of that, and then put the siding over that as well. Or, you know, another exterior finish. So that being like restrictive economically, I can't do it. So what I can do is I can put this here, and this is still fine. So any moisture that gets into the wall still wicks through the wall to the outside. So that's covered. I have vapor barrier. This is like a second layer of vapor barrier. The drywall will go right over top of this, and I'll just use longer drywall screws, and it will protect this from fire and everything else. So, yeah, interesting way to do it. So anyway, I'm adding this in, and it will keep my walls from being cold to the touch, which is going to be a significant improvement with this house. So my overall insulation value for my outside walls will go from an R12 with the fiberglass pink and the 3mm poly to an R14 with the Roxul and a thicker 6mm poly. Plus we've made every stud cavity into its own sealed air cell, and then this will add another R3 on top of that. Almost an R3. It's like R2.9 something, or 2.81 I think it is. So anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm doing, and I gotta tape and seal all the joints on this, but this goes right over top, and I just use like screws with a washer to hold it in place, and then I put the drywall right over top. I've taken out 12 inches of blown in fiberglass insulation and replaced that with between the roof truss bays, they're 2x4s. So I have Roxul, a layer of Roxul, and then I make sure I stagger the joints and I put another layer of Roxul on top of that, and then the leftover fiberglass pink from the walls go on that as well. As you can see, I've also used the DuroFoam on the ceiling. I'm doing a whole envelope of the room with the DuroFoam. Once again, it will also be covered by drywall. It will also be taped and sealed. Anyway, we just try to minimize any air infiltration, and one of the ways you do that is just stagger your joints, just to make sure that they're overlapped so the air just doesn't go whistling through up between 3 layers of insulation that has a clear path to get through. So you want to stagger that so you have one layer and then you crisscross it, right? You want to stagger the joints so that the air has more difficulty, if there is an air leak, of getting through your insulation. So yeah, 3 layers of that. So there's 2 layers of Roxul at R14 each, plus 1 layer of R12 fiberglass pink that I took out of the walls. I'm reusing that in the ceiling. Alright, and that would give us an R40 plus the almost R3 here, so R43 basically for my ceiling, for my attic space. So, for the outside outlets, they got this special vapor barrier that covers the box, right? And then gets taped into place. Another detail with that is they have these, they call them universal gaskets. So any air that gets into your outlet, whether it's your switch or your plug or whatever, they have this gasket that fits over top of it. So what you do is you remove part of the gasket so that it slips over. So it's going to slip over the unit itself, and then when you put your outlet cover on it, it's insulated. So now this gasket should fit inside. This one's a little bit bigger, so this would have to be trimmed down. It would actually fit inside here. So yeah, it would add one more layer of insulation, one more layer of defense against having the air flow through into your room. Alright, so this one is a red dot universal gaskets for rectangular boxes and covers. So it will fit basically any device for a rectangular outlet box, right? And you can get them for octagon boxes for your lights and everything else. So it just adds one more layer of insulation, right? You want to prevent air movement. You want to prevent the cold air from getting in and the warm air from leaving, or vice versa in the summer. Anyway, so I had planned on doing a before and after video of the bedroom, but I didn't actually get to it because I'm really busy doing construction and other things. So to finish, if you want to see what the rest of the room looks like after it was completed, so I did a video on the IKEA PAX closet organizer. So if you watch that video, you'll see some of the bedroom. Hardwood flooring tips. When I put hardwood in, I did like a small flooring tip video, and you'll see some of the bedroom in that. And then the DIY textured ceiling, obviously that's the bedroom as well. And the Power Fist flooring nailer review, that also shows part of the bedroom. So sorry it's not really a complete video, but if you watch some of my other videos, you'll see like the room, what it actually looks like with the crown molding and all the trim up and everything. Alright, so if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in this type of content, please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Cheers.